Hey, what's going on, guys, and welcome back to the channel. And today I've made for you guys a complete beginner's guide to Krunker. Now keep in mind, this is a very beginner's guide, so if you've been playing the game for longer than like a month, then you probably won't need this guide, but be sure to stay tuned because I will be posting a slightly more advanced guide probably about a week or two from now, so stay tuned for that. But in this guide, I'm going to be talking about all the basics of which classes you should use, aim, movement, game sense, everything you need to know to improve at Krunker if you're just starting out. Now, I don't like long intros. When I watch other people's videos, it's really annoying that I want intros, so let's just get right into it. Alright, first, let's talk about classes. I'm going to be going over my 3 best classes that I think you should use if you are starting out. Keep in mind, these are beginner classes, and some of them have very high skill caps, some of them don't, and you may want to switch as you get more skilled in the future. These 3 classes are the Triggerman, which has an assault rifle, the Vince class, which has a shotgun, and the Run and Gun class, which has a submachine gun. Now, let's start off with the Triggerman. Triggerman is a very versatile class, effective at pretty much any range, and I love it because it has such a high skill cap. So even if you start using it now, it's great for beginners, but you can also improve a lot with it and make it a very strong weapon in the future when you improve. It has 100 health, 30 round magazine, and has a very fast fire rate. It has average movement and average jump height, and overall I think it is one of the best guns in the game / classes, and it also has a secondary, so it is really one of the best classes in the game. Personally, one of my favorites, and I would totally recommend you use it, probably the best out of the 3. Second is the Vince class. The Vince class has a shotgun with 2 rounds per shot. What's it even called? Like, what's a magazine in a shotgun? 2 rounds per reload. And it's very effective because it can one-shot any class with a single bullet at close range. So, although it's very effective at close range, it is not very effective at long range. Close to medium range is still okay, but it really shines at close range because it can just one-tap anything. It has 90 health and average jump height and movement speed. And you do get a secondary, so if you need to fight someone at long range, you can just pull out your pistol and you're fine. The reason I think this is such a good beginner class is because it is very, very easy to aim with. Now, of course, if you've been coming over from other video games and you are already good at aiming, you can already move on to the other classes like AK and SMG, which require more aim than the Vince class, but they still are very effective classes. Finally, the Run and Gun class, which has a submachine gun. Personally, one of my favorite classes in the game because of how fast it is. I think this is a great beginner class because of how easy it is to b-hop with, and although your max speed isn't as high as some other classes with lower jump heights, and I'll talk later about how jump height can affect b-hop speed. But either way, it is a very great beginner class because of its movement. It has 34 bullets per magazine, very fast fire rate, but it does not have a secondary. Now, at close range, it really shines. Even close to medium range, it is an incredibly effective weapon, but from long range, it is not that great. So at long range, it will lose to an AK, but I think at close range, it can destroy an AK, which is why it's one of my favorite guns. And I also love that you can wall jump with it and wall grind / wall walk with it, and I'll talk about what those 2 things are later on in the video. Now, I'm sure a question that a lot of you have on your mind right now is, what settings should I use? Now, if you want some pre-made settings, I will leave a link to a paste bin with all of my settings in the description below, and all you have to do is go to that paste bin, copy all the text from there, go into your settings, type import, and then paste my settings into there and click OK, and that will give you my settings. But if you don't want to use my settings, I will give you some guidelines on how to use them. So, I would recommend that you use between 300 and 400 EDPI, which stands for, I think it stands for equivalent DPI or effective DPI, or point is, it's a combination of your DPI and your in-game sense, and 300 to 400 EDPI would be about 800 DPI and around 0.45 in-game sensitivity. And when you're looking at ADS sensitivity, I would say you might want to turn it a little bit down, but unlike other games, you don't really need to turn it down that much. I would say maybe if your in-game is 0.45, you could make ADS sensitivity 0.4. Now, some other settings that you should know about are, first of all, ADS power. Specifically called ADS FOV power, it's how much you zoom in when you right-click, or ADS. I would recommend having that between 0.4 and 0.6, but that's really up to you. 0.4 to 0.6, somewhere in between that middle range is probably the best though. Now let's talk about keybinds. Now, there aren't really any keybinds that I would recommend you change except for your weapon swap keybinds. Only if you have side mouse buttons, I would say put your weapon swap buttons on your side mouse buttons, because they're just very easy to hit, and there aren't really any other keybinds that you can use for that. But yeah, those are the main settings that I would recommend you use. Everything else you can kind of just use default and then just change it as you feel like you want to change it, or you could use my settings and then change those to how you like those. If you have more questions about settings, my DMs in my Discord are always open, and you can have a link to my Discord in the description below, and I will try to answer any questions I have. Okay, I didn't really know what category to put this in, but I thought I'd point this out. I guess I'll put it in the fighting category. I guess all of this is kind of the fighting category. But one thing you've got to know about Krunker is it is not like other games. Your aim does not increase like other games by either walking slower or stopping completely, or crouching, or not jumping. My aim, although my crosshair doesn't show it, my aim is the same when I'm going like this, or like this, or when I'm like this. It doesn't matter. As long as you're ADSing, your aim, your accuracy is the same. So it's not like other games where sometimes you stop, crouch, shoot. No, it's not like that. And there's zero bloom at all. So you can spray. Look at this. It's all in the exact same spot. So you can spray all you want, and it doesn't change anything. So the key to winning fights in Krunker is speed. You don't want to stop, crouch, shoot like that. You want to run. You want to be slide hopping as fast as you can. Okay, so I said I would talk a bit about game sense in this video. And to be honest, I'm not great with game sense. I don't really know much about game sense. People have actually told me that I'm a very predictable player, but I can give you a couple tips because I have been playing the game for 2 years, or actually way more than 2 years at this point. So I do have some experience. First tip is you always want to have your back covered. See, in a map like this, if I run out here, I am very open. I can be shot from all sides. But if I just go back here and I stand right here, I can see everyone in front of me. Unless someone somehow just teleports behind me right here, I can see everyone in front of me. So you really just don't want to go into open areas. If you're in a map like this, like Little Town, and you need to cross the open like this, I would just recommend doing it very quickly. And if there's someone out here you want to fight, don't go out here to fight them, stay back here to fight them. Some more things about game sense is you want to try to learn the spawns of each map. For example, on this map, I know that people spawn right here a lot. That's a very common spawn point. So if I'm coming around here, like this, I always look in here, check if anyone's in there, and if there is, I'll go in here and shoot them. I won't always jump right in, but I will always check if there's someone there. This is called spawn trapping. Spawn trapping is just checking spawns. See, I know this is also a spawn right here. Spawn trapping is just checking spawns as you go by them, and if there's anyone there, you kill them. Now, as you get better, you will start being able to predict exactly which spawns people will spawn at, not just where people possibly could spawn at. You'll know the rotations, the cycles, and you'll be able to know the exact time. Obviously, I can't do that because, like, I'm stuck at the game, but eventually, you'll be able to do that if you practice. And spawn trapping is honestly a very good skill to have. Next, let's talk about movement. Now, movement is very unique in Krunker, and I will explain why. First of all, there are 3 things called b-hopping, slide hopping, and moon jumping, all a little bit different. Although, if you hear someone say b-hopping, they usually mean slide hopping. Just keep that in mind. So first, let's talk about b-hopping. B-hopping is just like spamming jump, running forward and spamming jump as soon as you hit the ground. And it's very easy to do, although it is hard to make sharp turns with it because you'll kind of just float off to the side. Now, although that's very easy to do, I would not recommend you do that because there are many other faster ways you can do it. Although that is faster than just normal running, slide hopping is much faster than that. Now, to slide hop, all you do is jump up, and right before you hit the ground, start holding down shift, and then slide on the ground for a tiny bit, and then release shift and jump at the same time, and you will be shot forward very quickly. You will go faster the later you hit shift. So you want to try to get that as close as you can, but you still need to make sure you're hitting shift before you hit the ground. So if you're not very good at timing your slide hops yet, I would recommend just not cutting it too close and pressing shift early. Now, moon jumping is just like slide hopping, except you release shift slightly before you jump. Now, this is not quite as fast as slide hopping, but but it will give you a lot more jump height. This will give you a good forward boost and higher jump height. So if you're trying to get up somewhere high, you can do this to get a bit more height, but most of the time I would recommend just keep slide hopping. Okay, now let's talk a little bit more about movement. Now, I'm in a custom game right now, and you're probably thinking, Senny, why are you in third person? And the reason for that is I want to show you about strafing. Wait, show you about strafing. Grammar 10,000, guys. Grammar 10,000. Alright, I want to show you how strafing works. Now in Krunger, if you hold down W and A or W and D and you look slightly to one side, for example right now I am holding down W and A and looking slightly to my right. If you do this, you actually walk faster than if you just hold W and look straight. It's not a huge difference, but you do go faster. You can see, if I'm running like this, I'm going fast, but not that fast, and then I turn to the side, I'm going a lot faster. So, if you are just running around normally on the ground, I would recommend you turn to one side of it and strafe, because you will be going faster. This is also very crucial to know when you're trying to start a slide hopping, because when you're trying to start slide hopping, I recommend first taking a jump and strafing like that. That's how you should start it. Look to the side, jump up, and strafe like that, and then start slide hopping, because it'll give you a much better boost than if you just jump normally. You can even see right here, I strafe like that, start slide hopping, I'm going much faster than if I just jump normally and start slide hopping. I know the difference isn't huge, but trust me, there is a difference, and I would totally recommend that you make sure you're always trying to strafe. And even when you're slide hopping normally, try to strafe a little bit like this. Oh, oopsies. Try to strafe a little bit like this, because it'll give you more boosts, and while you're in the air, you'll be going forward a lot faster. Now, when you're turning corners, you also want to strafe. For example, if I'm slide hopping around here like this, I want to turn to the right, I'm going to be hitting my A key, which will make me strafe left. So I'll be hitting W and A, and then I'll slide hop like this. So you want to strafe while you're turning, and for example, like if I'm turning right, I hold down A and W. If I'm turning left, I hold down W and D. And this will give you a very good boost rather than just slide hopping straight. And although sometimes you'll like hit into this, you'll get used to the slide hopping, and it won't be long before you know how to time that. Now, speaking of running into things while you're turning corners, if you're having trouble with that, keep in mind that if you want to have a shorter jump, then what you can do is just ADS. ADSing makes you jump a lot lower. You can see right here, I'm jumping like this, I stop ADSing, I jump a lot higher. So if you ADS mid-jump, your jump will be shortened a lot, because you also walk slower while you ADS. So if I'm about to run into this, I can just ADS, and then I won't run into that. I still messed up there, because like I suck at slide hopping. But the point is, you can ADS and you'll jump lower. And also keep in mind, jumping lower will actually increase your slide hopping speed. So if you got a bit of momentum, I would recommend that you can just start ADSing, and you'll be able to go a lot faster. You can see it's kind of hard to tell, but I am going faster than I was before. That was my beginner's tutorial to Krunker.io. I really hope you enjoyed. And if it ended up helping you, be sure to leave a like and subscribe down below. And if you have any more questions, my Discord DMs are always open, so you can join the Discord server for our community in the description down below, and DM me or just ask any other people in the server any questions you have. And if you don't feel like doing that, I will be going live on twitch.tv/SetneyLive as soon as this video goes up, so you can come and ask any questions in there and maybe play some Krunker with us. And I really hope this helped you out, and I want to wish you a safe and fantastic rest of your day, and I'll see you all in the next one.